Hello everybody, this is my review of the Honda CG125. This is a 1998 model, and certain things that you've got to look out for and certain things you need to know when you're running a Honda CG125W. So, from the front forks. Now these are pretty much bomb proof, and they really are. The only thing you should ever have to change is the fork seals, and always change the dust seals as well. Always change the dust seals. I got mine done at the dealer the first time I got them done, and it was 60 quid fitted, which is pretty good really. If you take them apart yourself, you'll need a seal puller and a soft drift to put the new seals back in. If you have a problem getting the seals out, then run the fork leg under some hot water until it expands, and this will let you get the seal out easier. Headlights. A lot of people don't like the square headlight. I quite like it, and I don't like changing the look of the bike. I like to keep everything original. In the winter, carry a spare bulb because they do go, and an upgraded bulb is a big advantage on these because the original bulb is it's pathetic really, to be perfectly honest with you. Front mudguard, not a lot to say there really. Just be wary if you've got, I mean this one's 15 years old. If you want to get a new one, then even though you might not think it, the paint on your bike would have faded, and if you get a new one it will look totally different to the red or the blue that you've got on your model. So just be wary. It's probably easier to get a sample of paint of somewhere else on the bike and get it resprayed, or just do it yourself. It's relatively easy, and it's, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a great job because who really looks at it. Front brake shoes, they're pretty good as well. I mean, I take mine apart once a year, rub the shoes down with some emery paper, get the dust out the drum, check your brake linings. But again, if your brake linings have gone, then there's something wrong somewhere else. Either your wheel's not true, your drum doesn't fit very well, could be a loose spoke sending your hub out. But from memory, I mean, I service a few of these, and that really shouldn't happen. Behind this cover here, you've got the generator, the flywheel even, and again, it's a non-serviceable part. Nothing ever should go wrong with it. The only issue you might have is it might be an oil leak coming from behind it. Now, I had this a couple of weeks ago, and it's because I put too much oil in the bike. I drained it out overnight, and I put a full litre in, which is what the capacity is, and it blew the oil seal. It didn't, you know, it's a relatively minor leak, but it's something that you need a generator puller off Honda, and if you're not too confident, that is something I would advise that you get done at the dealers, because it can go wrong. If you get it wrong, then you'll know about it, and then you will have to take it to the dealers on the back of a pickup. So just be careful. That cover as well, I've had that powder coated. You'll find that the covers do wear out, you know, with shit off the road, heat off the engine. You'll find the original paint peels off. What I did was I bought a second-hand one off eBay for a tenner, and then I got it powder coated for 20 quid. So, and a new one off Honda is £200. We'll get onto the facts of buying stuff off Honda in a moment, but 200 quid. When you leave the bike overnight, fuel tap just there. Always turn the petrol off, and turn it off if you're parking up or anything like that, because you never know if the bike does get nicked. You know, whoever's nicking the bike may not know it has a fuel tap there, and if it's turned off, they won't get more than 200-300 metres. So, plus it's good practice, because when you start up in the morning, you've got a risk that your engine will be flooded, and it could cause some damage. If the engine is flooded, turn the ignition off, kick it over 10 times, it should start with the ignition on. Rear shocks. Now then, these are pretty good. They're actually quite comfortable. Now, these are the original Honda units, and they are 15 years old. They're not leaking. They're pretty good. You'll get crap and build up of crap behind the springs. It's quite hard to clean off properly. What I suggest is you compress the spring. You can buy motorcycle spring compressors, or sit on the back of the bike, or get a heavy friend to sit on the back of the bike. Place some hooks in the springs, take them off. They fall off, 2 nuts, and they just pull off. And then remove the top, which is on a thread, take the spring off, release the hooks, and then send the springs off to the powder coaters. Again, it won't cost you any more than 20 quid. And clean the chrome up. Auto Sol is the best stuff, it really is. But if you're too aggressive with it, then you'll find it scratches the chrome, which is something you don't really want. Now, you might notice the chain guard's missing off the bike at the moment. It's actually getting painted. It's getting towards winter now, and I just want it to last as well as it can do. So, rear swing arm. Now then, your bushes will go. Mine went last year, and taking into account that's the first time I've ever been changed in 12 years, but they were knackered. These are parts that you really should buy off Honda, because pattern parts of these are pathetic. Now, it's 70 quid. That's for 4 top hat bushes and 2 pivot bushes. It's worth the 70 quid. Take the swing arm off, dead easy, 1 bolt. Once you've taken the wheel off and whatever, press the bushes in and refit. It's dead easy. It's not difficult at all. Rear chain and sprocket. You can buy a kit off DID. I recommend Wimoto for parts for this bike, by the way. Wimoto are very good. They'll send you the chain. It's the right length. Front sprocket, rear sprocket, and it's really good quality. Sunstar sprockets, actually. Don't be tempted. You'll read all kinds of stuff on internet forums. A larger front sprocket and a smaller front sprocket. A smaller front sprocket will give you better acceleration, less top end. A larger front sprocket will give you less acceleration, better top end. Don't bother with either. Keep the original sprocket, because the engine is designed for that ratio, and especially on a larger sprocket, you will not get any more top end out of it. You really won't. Unless you're going down a hill with the wind behind you, you will not notice a difference. And the engine is only designed, if you look on your speedo, on these, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see that on the outer dial there? Now then, they're the gears. That's the maximum speed for that gear. As soon as you go over 75, you are damaging the engine. So with this larger front sprocket on, you're really not doing yourself any favours by doing that. Now then, round the back of the bike, I've got sellotape round the indicator. Another one is on order off Honda, 28 quid. I've never ever changed the bulb on the indicators or the rear light yet. I've been quite lucky. Now then, I need a new back reflector. Be warned, it's an MOT failure not to have a reflector on the back of your bike. That's why I have got a little one on my number plate until that one turns up. The exhaust. Now then, off Honda, 70 quid, and buy it off Honda, because the pattern parts are really, really poor. They rot easily. Again, keep your exhaust clean and it'll stay clean forever. Just again, use Auto Sol, because it's got a chemical in it that prevents rust and whatnot. Like I said, 68 quid plus delivery off Honda, which is pretty good really. When you change the exhaust gasket. The copper one is the better one, and the split collets that go on the exhaust, there's 2 half split collets. Make sure you change them as well. They get quite rotten and they deform with the heat, so when you put a new exhaust on, they will not be formed to that exhaust. Get 2 new ones. Start it up with the exhaust loose, and then tighten the bolts in alternating sequences. 2 bolts there, 2 10mm dome nuts, as you can see. One there, one the other side. Tighten one side in one turn, do the other side one turn, do the other side one turn, until it doesn't leak anymore. Because when you start it up, it'll sound like a tank. Tighten it till it doesn't start like a tank. Kickstart lever, you'll find the pivot pin goes in these. Now, it's a very, very hard part to replace the pivot pin. I've seen so many people bodge it up and it looks awful. Now then, you can get kickstart levers for 20 quid, and they do fit and they do work, but they don't look right. Off Honda, they're £102, but it will last 10-15 years, so it's worth the £102. Spark plugs. Now, a lot of people put the NGK Neridium plugs in. It's a waste of money. I mean, they're 12 quid, and a normal one is 2 quid. You will not notice a difference. You really won't. And actually, it made mine worse. Put the note there, I can't remember what it is. I think it's DP-R8EA9 spark plug. The 9 at the end denotes the gap on the plug. Fit the right plug and change the oil every month. When you change the oil, change the plug. Do that because it's just a force of habit then. Make it a habit. At the end of every month, or at the end of every 1,000 miles, change the oil. If you change the oil in these, the engine will last forever. There's not a lot, much more to go through really. The valve clearances, again, easy job you can do yourself. It really is easy. Take that valve cover off and get some feeler gauges. And I can't remember the exact procedure, but go in your Haynes manual and it will tell you how to do it. The Haynes manual for these is about 12 quid, and it is worth buying. Yeah, do your valve clearances, and then you will, if valve clearances could be poor running, low performance, you'll hear them. If they're going, you'll hear them. Normally the clearances get bigger. If the clearances are smaller, then there may be an issue there. But just watch out for that valve clearances. After it could be your bike's going slower, and what is it? You've changed this, you've changed that. Do your valve clearances. Another thing that people don't really take into account on these little 125s is tyre pressure. Now, the back tyre there, I've got that at 28. The front side, I've got it at 25, which is more than hard enough. If you've got your tyres at 10 or 15, and they will appear to be inflated and it'll run fine, you will notice a massive drop in performance. It'll do 50 instead of 65. It's always the first thing I check if the bike's running, and it's the most likely thing as well. If it's running down, running low, check your tyre pressures, put them to where they should be, and you'll notice it straight away. General performance, don't expect more than 65 out of it, and it is what it is. It'll run forever as long as you look after it. This is the model before they fitted the disc brake. I haven't ridden one of the newer models, but they do have slightly more horsepower, slightly better gearbox, they claim, but to be honest with you, there's nothing wrong with the gearbox on these. If you're considering buying a 125 and this has all the recommendations under the sun, you're much better off buying a 20-year-old Honda CG 125 than you are buying a Japanese model such as a Sinus, or there's another one, Hyundai or something like that. But the Chinese bikes are not very good, and they're basically copies of this. Yeah, so that's it really. I hope this review was helpful for you. There's plenty of good websites out there that support this bike. There's one which I think is CG125 Award Space. The guy's running that, and he really covers all the service items. It's more geared towards the newer bike with the front disc brake model, but a lot of the servicings can be carried through the entire range of 125s. Other common faults really, there's not a great deal. They do seem to behave themselves. Chain tension. That is one thing. Don't have it too tight, it'll damage the gearbox. That's on every bike, that's common sense. Now, it should be 20mm of free play in the tightest spot on the chain. So once you've put your wheel back on, and it's even each side, find the tightest spot on the chain, and there should be 20mm up and down free play. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. There should be a sticker on your chain guard that tells you that, actually. And then another thing, before you do your valve clearances, let the bike cool down overnight. Do it hot and it'll be wrong. It just won't be right at all. And that's it. I hope this review was helpful, and take care.